Silent Hill is a rare breed of film. They don't come along that often, but it is genuinely regarded by most as a good video games movie adaptation. And it wasn't by luck. It had a director who actually cared, a studio willing to let him chase an authentic tone, and a production that treated the atmosphere as a priority. We'll get the elephant in the room out of the way, and I'll agree that Silent Hill isn't a port of any of the games. It's more the idea of the games, the actual town of Silent Hill. Silent Hill isn't a normal haunted town. Not that any town that is haunted is normal, but it's a place that reflects the people who enter it. The town reshapes itself around their guilt, fear or trauma, turning those inner problems into a physical, demon-like manifestation. And that's how they make the film work, making the town into a character. In the first Silent Hill game, you play as Harry Mason, a man searching an abandoned town for his missing daughter. The town isn't just spooky, it's twisted by the psychic trauma of a young girl abused in a failed cult ritual, turning the streets into a living nightmare. Now, the games don't follow a strict canon themselves, and each game sort of stands on its own. It's complicated. If you know the games, you know what I'm talking about, and this isn't the place to get into all that. I'd be for days, and nobody wants that. The film's director, Christoph Gans, decided to make his film based on the town and not a version of the story already told. He took his ideas based on the first 3 games, sent Konami a 37-minute long pitch of his idea, including some video footage, and they said yes. Then, well, they made it. It doesn't really come from a more authentic place than that. What we ended up with is a film that made some changes from the original idea. First up, we have the female protagonist, Rose Da Silva, played by Radha Mitchell. Rose doesn't just wander into Silent Hill at random. She and her husband are disturbed by their adopted daughter Sharon's constant sleepwalking nightmares about the town. And, desperate for answers, Rose takes her there herself to try and get to the bottom of it. In a nod to the first game, Rose crashes the car on the road into town after seeing a girl in the road, and when she wakes up in the fog, Sharon's gone. As Rose searches the empty streets, chases glimpses of her daughter, and watches the town shift to something far darker, it quickly stops feeling like a haunted place and starts feeling personal, like the town is responding directly to her fear and desperation. Christoph Gans said he made the change because the story's emotional weight, a parent searching for a child, played better on film with a mother, especially as he was interested in exploring the cult narrative, which also means that the film leans heavily on the third game. It reframes Lisa's story and brings the religious stuff to the forefront. So yes, it's not faithful to the canon, but it wasn't trying to be either. It divides fans of the game on these points alone, but its seemingly biggest sin is the inclusion of Pyramid Head. Now Christoph wanted to include him because, well, he's iconic, why wouldn't he? The problem is that in the game's lore, Pyramid Head is a bespoke manifestation of a completely different character's guilt. Technically, he has no business being in Rose's story. But the film chooses iconography over logic, and honestly, once you see him on screen, it's hard to stay mad at that decision. Even if you know he doesn't belong, it works visually, and that's the win. I mean, I get it, I do, but would you make a big Hollywood film and not include one of the main attractions of the game? Where the film consistently earns praise is the atmosphere. Christoph pushed for practical effects. Digital work was there, but it's always laid over with physical foundations and minimal. That's why the film looks solid today. It wasn't built on CGI shortcuts. The actors playing the monsters were dancers, which helped with the flowing movements. The bit where the dying nurses first come to life were originally filmed with them walking backwards and then reversed. That's the kind of thing this film does brilliantly. It's smart and you can't really argue with the effect of it all. The music as well, often praised in the game, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Most of the score was taken directly from Akira Yamaoka's work on Silent Hill 1, 2 and 3. Christoph insisted on using the original tracks to keep the texture and mood intact. However, due to a contract obligation which required a Canadian composer to be involved, the tracks did get some remixing. While the score was being fought over in Canadian boardrooms, they still found room for a bit of random Johnny Cash, which is probably the most Hollywood thing about the whole production. Either way, the music is a huge part of why the film feels like Silent Hill, even when the story diverges. Again, smart choices. Purist game fans and critics were mixed on the whole thing. Casual fans, like me, and the general public enjoyed it. The film made just under $100 million worldwide, which is a solid return for mid-budget horror adaptation in 2006. But its long-term reputation comes from the fact it takes the material seriously. It isn't perfect, but it does respect the tone, the imagery and the psychological weight of the games, more than most adaptations before and after. And honestly, that's what counts in my eyes when it comes to things like this. So no, it isn't lore accurate, faithful adaptation, but it never could be really, and this is as close as it gets normally. It's not a perfect film, it's a bit confusing, but so are the games, and even the newer ones don't really clarify anything. It's just one of those things that gets interpreted in different ways by different people. Not a bad thing. Watching the film, you might not get every plot detail, but you feel the tone, the fear and the trauma, and that's the heart of it, and that's why it still works. There is a sequel to the film, which came out a few years later, Silent Hill Revelations, primarily a direct follow-up to this, but leaning more heavily on the third game. Think more fog, more cult twists, and yeah, more monsters, but that's another video for another time. If anything, the sequel does prove that capturing this lightning in a bottle twice is harder than it looks. So again, it's not perfect, but it does capture the essence of the games, and that's what's more important and so often missing from these adaptations. Anyways, if you like this video, do me a favour and drop me a like and let me know. Subscribe as well if you want while you're there. Or don't, I'm not going anywhere. I've been Paul and this has been Pixels Popcorn. I'll catch you on the next rewind. Thanks for watching.